To the Diversity and Inclusion Workshop. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, so I'm taking off my professional development hat. If you don't know me, I'm Alicia Cappers. I'm the Director of Professional Development here at the firm, and I'm putting on in front of you here the Diversity and Inclusion Steering Committee, and more specifically, I am involved with the refugees in the greater Cincinnati area, specifically on a project that came out of the Junior League, and it's called Refugee Connect, and I was the recent past co-chair of that project, and eventually we hope to spin into our own nonprofit organization. So this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, we have an esteemed panel here with us. You may remember Simon Snervosky. He was a summer associate with us here this past summer, and we're glad that he accepted a position to join us full-time next fall. Then we have Zia Razak, who is the Director of Business Development at Cycle Bar Franchising, and he's also my husband. Then we also have Robin Lamont, who's the Program Director of Refugee Connect, which I just spoke of, and she also manages the coordination for the Hamilton County Refugee School Impact Grant through Academy of World Languages. And then we have Sandy Spinner. Sandy is a board member of Highest International, which is the oldest resettlement agency. And she travels abroad and is actually chair of the Resettlement Strategy Task Force. So we have some really experienced folks talking to us today about their experiences working with refugees and or being a refugee themselves. So my personal interest in this obviously lies through my husband, but I took a class in college called the Modern Middle East. This is post-Gulf War, pre-ISIS ever happening. And a lot of what was going on during that time when I was in college was the Palestinian-Israeli crisis. It was around the time of Arafat, and the Israelis were starting to move their settlements out of the West Bank. And so a lot of the newspaper was reflective of that reporting of that crisis or that conflict. And so that was where a lot of the focus of this class started. And so I moved to Boston after grad school, and I was working for a nonprofit, and in walks this guy, and I never met a real live Palestinian before. I was like, I've read about you in newspaper, I've studied you in class, but wow, you're real life in person. It happens to be Zia, and we became fast friends, and now we're married for 9 years. So that's my experience. And then talking with his family and his mother and his sisters and brothers, I never realized the impact that never being able to go back home has on a person or a family. And so I've asked lots of questions and just became really involved in the whole experience. And so that's why I've been involved with the refugees here in Cincinnati. So I think we'd like to start off on just introducing yourselves a little more other than the titles that I've given you and introduced your names. Could you just say a few words about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So
you have to turn on your mic.
okay.
I think they're on. It should
Yep.
be green, right?
It should turn. Nope.
Uh-oh.
Yep. It should light up.
Now it's just dark.
There you go.
Oh.
All right. Hi. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm Simon. I was a summer associate here this summer, so I feel like I'm back in this room like a year earlier than I was supposed to be back in this room. But I am really grateful that the firm and that Kim and Alicia and all of you are taking the time to talk about this issue, because it's really passionate to me, and I'm just really excited that the firm is showing that it's excited to learn about it as well. So my family and I moved over from Minsk, Belarus, right after the Soviet Union fell. We moved over in May '93. And we came over as refugees with the help of the Jewish Federation. So we were resettled in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I was raised. And we ended up in St. Louis because my aunt and uncle had come over in 1979 in a really brief period of time when there was some normalized relationship between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. So we can get a little more our story, but I'm just grateful that y'all are here and excited to learn about this issue, and I'm excited to be back here.
And major kudos to Simon. He and Kim got together, and this was something that I'd been talking to Kim about for a couple years, doing this type of workshop on refugees specifically. But Simon came in, and they were working on diversity and inclusion projects, and he brought up the idea again. So what I've been trying to do for a couple years, Simon came in one summer, got here for 2 weeks, and got it done. So thanks, Simon, for making this happen.
Awesome. And my name is Ziad Razak. I go by Z. I think I know several of you either from Cycle Bar, Not as Sweaty, and obviously some of you from holiday parties and the casino. So it's good seeing everyone, and pleasure meeting you all. As Alicia had mentioned, I'm originally Palestinian. My father and mom were originally from there. I'm really what's classified as a second generation refugee, and what that means is I was obviously part of a first generation family that moved out of my hometown of Akka, and my dad, my uncle, and his family migrated from northern Palestine into southern Lebanon, and so that was a pretty close commute, if you will, if you had a car, but they traveled by foot, and so I was fortunate enough to reap the benefits of my father's hard work. He's passed now, but he was an OBGYN. He really focused on getting the proper I guess timeline set up for his kids, and all of my siblings had the opportunity to attend college. My two sisters had their doctoral degrees, and they're both college professors in the Middle East. And obviously, I ended up here in the United States a couple weeks before 9/11 happened, which is a really tough time for a brown guy to be here. So it was a little bit challenging thereafter, because I never was a citizen of any country. I still held my Palestinian refugee passport, which was a travel document issued by the Lebanese government. And so for me to go from point A to point B was an incredibly challenging thing to do. Even leaving here to go see my mom in Beirut after 9/11 to fly into Europe, I needed a transit visa just to land in an airport. And so getting out of the airport was pretty much near impossible. But even just to land in an airport, it was enough of a challenge just to be able to get to go home and see my family. So I went to school in Boston and was a undergrad in accounting, and then graduated with an MBA. And in between then, I met this beautiful, intelligent young lady here, and it's been awesome since. And obviously, here we are in Cincinnati with Alicia's amazing career at Frost Brown. I think we decided to pursue that, and I ended up landing something I love doing at Cycle Bar. So a lot of hard work, a lot of good fortune. Much in part to my family, my father specifically, but again, just trying to keep your head down and do things the right way, and make sure that you take all the opportunities and the help, and obviously reciprocate that help anytime you can. And I think that's what ends up hopefully leading us to where we want to be in life. So that's a little bit of my story.
Hi, I'm Robin Lamont, and I'm the Program Director of Refugee Connect. I joined the team about a year ago, and Refugee Connect is a project of the Junior League, which is a nonprofit incubator in Cincinnati. They've started Pro Kids, Fernside, the Children's Museum at the Museum Center, and now Mindpiece. And so the reason why Refugee Connect exists is because in 2011, the Junior League did a needs assessment for women and children and found that there was a gap for refugee communities and accessing resources. So since that time, we've built a collaborative of stakeholders, and now there's more than 80 who work directly with refugees to coordinate services and then to provide education in the community. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. I formerly worked at Catholic Charities in refugee resettlement, running the employment department and placing over 100 people in jobs, their first job in America, helping them understand the American workforce and how they could use their skills here, and then ultimately to reach their goals. And I've been working with the international community since 2007 and started my work with refugees in 2010 as a volunteer with women who were pregnant, not by choice, fleeing Ethiopia and Eritrea, and helping them navigate healthcare systems in Israel, which was the country they were in for asylum.
Hi, I'm Sandy Spinner, and I have been involved in refugee work since 1977. I began as an activist in the Free Soviet Jewry movement and visited the Soviet Union approximately 8 times between 1985 and 1997, I think, yes. I am well acquainted with the KGB on a first-name basis. My first trip to the Soviet Union, I was picked out at customs for special interest, and my baggage was gone through and everything was taken out, and I was given an official warning by the KGB person who was in charge and the other 5 who was standing around and watching that I should not engage in Zionist activities while in the Soviet Union. And having been well briefed and being pretty nasty, I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he said, you're a Jew, aren't you? Just like that. And I said, I'm an American. And we went round that circle a couple of times, and he just couldn't get the fact that he didn't have the right to ask me whether I was a Jew, but I was an American. And that's when he gave me my official warning not to engage in Zionist activities anymore, which lasted about a half hour. Since then, I was invited to join the board of HIAS, H-I-A-S, formerly known as the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. This is the oldest resettlement organization in the United States, probably in the world, having started about 140 years ago. It was primarily started by the Jewish community to help resettle Jews who were fleeing pogroms in Eastern Europe. At the time, most of the clients were Jewish. Today, 95% of our clients are non-Jews. Most of them are Muslims. We resettle and rescue and protect people from anywhere for under any circumstances, as long as they are in need. And we feel that as our commitment as Jews is we help these people not because they're Jews, but because we are Jews, and it's incumbent upon us to do that. I have visited refugee camps in Kenya, in Chad. I have been to the urban refugee centers in Kenya, Uganda, Latin America, Ecuador, Argentina, Venezuela, Panama, Austria, and Israel. I think that covers it. And for the past 5 years, I have attended the UNHCR annual consultations with its partners in Geneva, where we talk about and compare issues on the latest problems and trends in refugee protection and resettlement. I think that's it.
Okay, we're going to go to just a couple of facts distinguishing between refugees and immigrants, and then go from a global perspective to here in Cincinnati specifically.